Okay, students, we are looking at Chapter 2, Lesson 4, which is called Adding and Subtracting Decimals. So in our green math books, we'll be on page 80. So pause and get there and have our notes ready. Our learning target today says I can add and subtract decimals. Okay, so at the top of page 80, it gives us some hints on what to remember when we're doing adding and subtracting of decimals. It says to add and subtract decimals, write the numbers vertically and line up the decimal points. Then bring down the decimal point and add or subtract as you would with whole numbers. So the key concept here when we're adding and subtracting decimals is to keep the decimal lined up. So we're going to write that down. So when we add or subtract decimals, the very important thing here is to keep the decimal lined up. If we do that, then we should be able to get a final answer pretty easily. So now that we have the little rule, we'll go ahead and start some examples. Example 1 on page 80 is talking about adding decimals. There are two parts. Part 1 says to add 8.13 plus 2.76. So in our notes, we'll write example 1, and we're going to be adding. So here's 1A. The question says 8.13 plus 2.76. Now it's important for us to line them up vertically first and keep the decimals lined up. So I'm going to line them up and down, 8.13, and I'm going to have my plus sign, 2.76. Notice how I've lined up each and every item together. So now that everything's lined up, I can actually put my decimal right in my answer right now, and I can add up my totals. 6 plus 3 is going to give us 9. 7 plus 1 is going to give us 8. And 8 plus 2 is going to give us 10. So my final answer is 10.89. All of my decimals lined up. Example 1B says to add 1.459 plus 23.7. So I'm going to line them up vertically. Now if I look at these two numbers, this number here only has a number in the ones digit, but nothing in the tens column. This number here is actually a larger number, so I'm going to choose to put that one on the top instead of the 1.459. So I'm going to choose to put 23.7 on the top because 23 is bigger than 1. Then when I put my 1.459, the 1 is going to be underneath the 3 because my decimal has to be lined up. Then I have my 4, 5, and my 9. I have my addition sign and my equal sign. Now when we add these together, I've got two empty slots here. So I can fill those empty slots with zeros. I put a little slash there to show that they were empty, but now we're filling them with zeros. So now when I add these together, 0 plus 9 gives me 9. 0 plus 5 gives me 5. 7 plus 4 is going to give me 11. So carry my 1 and I write the other one down. My decimal needs to stay lined up. 3 plus 1 plus my other 1 up here is going to give me 5. And 2 plus nothing underneath is going to give me a 2. So my final answer is 25.159. So that's how you subtract decimals. Nothing crazy there, just make sure your decimal is lined up. And if you have a bigger number second, you'll want to put that one on the top. Example 2. Change colors. Example 2 is going to be all about subtraction. So it says subtracting decimals. So the first one says subtract 5.508 minus 3.174. So example 2 is all about subtraction. Here's question A. 5.508 subtract 3.174. Now, we can't just choose which number goes on the top when we're doing subtraction. You always have to put the first number that's written on the top when you're doing subtraction. So we have to write 5.508 on the top, and we will subtract 3.174. Notice how my decimals and all of my columns are lined up. We can write our decimal right in our answer right now. And remember, we're subtracting this time, not adding. So 8 take away 4 would give us a 4. I can't take 7 from 0, so I have to borrow from this next column, make that a 4, which changes this into a 10. 10 take away 7 would give me 3. 4 take away 1 would give me 3. 5 take away 3 would give me 2. So my final answer is 2.334. On to question B. Subtract 21.9 minus 1.605. Again, we have to put the first number on top. So we have 21.9. Now be careful where you're putting this 1 because my decimals have to be lined up. My 1 has to be in this column. Then I have 1.605. And again, we are subtracting. Notice I have my 2 empty slots up here, so I can fill those with zeros. Now, if I look at this, I cannot take 5 from 0, so I have to borrow from this number. Well, I can't borrow from 0, so I have to continue on one more time. I have to borrow from here and make that an 8, which would change this 0 into a 10. Well, I need to borrow from that 10 to get this to be a 10, so I'm going to cross out that 10 and make it a 9. Now I have this becoming a 10. So I had to borrow 2 rows over in order to get my answer that I could subtract. 10 take away 5 would give me 5. 9 take away 0 would give me 9. 8 take away 6 would give me 2. My decimal needs to stay lined up. 1 take away 1 would give me 0. And 2 take away 0 would give me 2. So my final answer is 20.295. So we've done some addition and we've done some subtraction. It's time to pause and try a couple of each. The on your owns are at the bottom of page 80. Try maybe 1 or 2 adding and 1 or 2 subtraction, and then we'll call up the answers in a moment. So number 1 is 15.056. Number 2, 23.729. Number 3, 169.4. Number 4, 1.01. Number 5, 26.995. And number 6, 4.746. Moving on and looking at page 81, we have example 3. We have 2 real-life application questions this time. So let's set up example 3 with a new color. And remember, we always pull out the important information and write it down in our notes. It says, your meal at the school cafeteria costs $3.45. Your friend's meal costs $3.90. You pay for both meals with a $10 bill. How much change do you receive? So there's a couple things happening here. So let's write down that we're talking about school meals. It says that your meal costs $3.45. Your friend's meal cost $3.90. You give them a $10 bill. We want to know how much change we're going to have. So we're going to be doing 2 steps here. The first step is going to be adding these $2 amounts together because we're paying for both lunches. So if we add up 3.45 plus 3.90 and keep our decimals lined up, 5 plus 0 is 5. 9 plus 4 gives us 13. Carry the 1, write down the 3. The decimal also needs to stay lined up. 3 plus 3 plus 1 gives us 7. That means we paid $7.35 for both meals. That's not what the question is asking, though. The question says, if I give $10, how much change do I have? So my last step is going to be subtract. $10 to take away $7.35. So I have $10 subtract $7.35. Notice how my decimal is nice and lined up. I can't take 5 from 0, so I'm going to have to come all the way over here and start borrowing from the 1. So we're going to make that 1 a 0, changing this to a 10. Well, I need one of those to be able to subtract for here, so I'm going to cross the 10 out and make it a 9. That makes this a 10. Well, I need one of those to be able to subtract this, so I'm going to cross that out, make it a 9, and that would in turn make this a 10. So lots of borrowing to be had here. So 10 take away 5 gives me 5. 9 take away 3 gives me 6. I'm going to keep my decimals nice and lined up. 9 take away 7 gives me 2. So my final answer on how much change am I going to receive, I'm going to get $2.65 back in change. Looking at 81 still, example 4 is another real-life situation where we would use adding and subtracting of decimals. So we'll go ahead and switch it up again. So example 4. The Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool is approximately rectangular. Its width is 50.9 meters and its length is 618.44 meters. You walk the perimeter of the pool. About how many meters do you walk? So if we draw this example out in our notes, we have a rectangular pool that we're talking about. It tells us that the small side is going to be 50.9 meters, and the longer side is going to be 618.44 meters. So if this side is 618.44, I know that this side is as well. If this is 50.9, I know that this smaller side over here is also. So what we have to do is figure out what the perimeter is. Over here, we're going to write the word perimeter. And just to remember, to find the perimeter, we add up all sides. So if I'm going to add up all 4 of these sides, I will get the perimeter. Now, if we take a look over here, the question asks about how many meters do you walk? So the question is asking us for whole meters. So we have to remember that. We're going to give our answer in whole meters. Let's go ahead and line up our columns and do some addition. If I'm looking at 50.9 and I'm thinking that my answer has to be in whole meters, I might want to round that up to 60 meters. So I have 2 sides that are 60 meters. 60 and 60. 618.44. Well, that's probably closer to 618 than it is to 619 meters. So let's go ahead and have 2 sides for 619. And we have 2 sides that are going to be 60 meters. We've basically rounded off because it said about. If it says about, we're going to round. That's important to note. So 9 plus 9 plus 0 plus 0 would give me 18. So I'll carry my 1, and I'll write down my 8. 6 plus 6 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. 6 and 6 is 12, plus 3 more is 15. So I carry my 1 and I write my 5. 6 plus 6 plus 1 give me 13, and there's my 13. So if I have an average or an about answer, it's going to be 1,358 meters that I walk all the way around the pool. There are 2 more on your own at the bottom of page 81 that are also real life situations or perimeter problems. Go ahead and pause if you'd like to try them. Number 7 is $12.25, and number 8 is 152.4 centimeters. That takes us to the end of that lesson.